everyone. This was supposed to be a first chapter Friday, September 18th, but technical difficulties and more technical difficulties, that and the lights kept going out on me every time I tried to record this, sent me home and has delayed this. So, without further ado, I Am Still Alive by Kate Alice Marshall, and this is, after all my efforts, to try and get this in, is definitely an appropriate title. Chapter 1. I'm alone. I don't have much food. The temperature is dropping. No one is coming for me. It will be winter soon, and there are many ways to die out here. If the cold doesn't get me, the hunger will. If the hunger doesn't get me, the cold will. Or some wild animal, or those men will come back. But I'm not dead yet, and someone should know. Someone should know what happened. So I'm writing it down as best I can. In pieces, because that's the way it is in my head, all tangled up. There are two beginnings to this story. One of them is on a tarmac in Alaska, the other's standing on a lakeshore with the rain falling on me like mist, the cabin's timber smoldering, sullen and red. I'll tell you both stories. What happened before my father died, and what happened after. And when I'm done, or when I'm too weak to write anymore, I'll leave this notebook where the cabin was. If someone comes looking for us, for me, maybe they'll find it. So if you're reading this, I'm probably dead. But for a while, I survived. My name is Jess Cooper, and I am still alive. Now I'm going to read a couple of pages of chapter 2, entitled Summer. Before. It took 2 flights to get up to the town where Dad lived in Alaska, where I thought he lived. I spent the second flight studying a picture of him. Mom had gotten rid of the photos of them together, but held on to one of him alone, just for me. And I clutched it in my hand. I was worried I might not recognize him, or he might not recognize me. We could walk right past each other and not know it. In the photo, he stood in the woods, in a blue rain shell. Mist hung in the air, his breath making a thicker cloud in front of his bristly lips. He had a beard that needed trimming, and bright eyes crinkled up at the edges like he'd laughed right before the picture was taken. By the time I stepped onto the tarmac and scanned the thin crowd of people waiting, I had memorized every detail of his face. He wasn't there. I imagined adding gray to his beard, taking his beard away, making it longer, scrubbing out the laugh lines and adding the sort of wrinkles you get from frowning, because I figured he couldn't be that happy if he'd left his wife and kid. No matter what I did to the picture in my mind, it didn't match anyone there. And soon everyone waiting for the plane had been claimed by one of my fellow passengers. The only person left was a huge man wearing a puffy yellow jacket who stared straight at me, squinting, but didn't move or wave or anything. His bushy red-brown hair poked out from under a baseball cap that might have once been yellow, but had faded to gray-brown everywhere except the brim. I hitched my bag over my shoulder. Dad must have sent someone to pick me up, that was all. I walked over, my right foot dragging slightly. I still couldn't lift it properly, and the ball of my foot scraped along the ground. The man watched my slow progress without budging. "Hi," I said when I got close. Hi, I said when I got close. It sounded like a bird chirping, high pitched and spastic. I'm Jess. Did my dad send you? Jess? The guy said. He scratched his beard. I'm supposed to be meeting Sequoia. Could be I'm in the wrong place, though. He looked behind me as if another girl could be lurking there. No, that's me. I said, Jess is my middle name. I never go by Sequoia. Oh, great. He grinned. He looked a lot less intimidating when he smiled, but he still could have closed a hand around my entire head. Carl's waiting. He turned around and started walking before I remembered that that was my father's name. Carl Green, not Cooper. Mama hadn't changed her name. So he sent you? I asked the man's back as I struggled to keep up. I had to take 3 steps to one of his, and that meant instead of taking 2 slow, careful steps with my bad foot, I had to fling myself forward in a lurching limp, which I wasn't supposed to do. Will, my physical therapist, had been really clear about that. Slow and steady, and I'd walk almost normally someday. Uh-huh, the man said. I was puffing by the time we reached the fence that divided the tiny tarmac from the parking lot, and he stopped. He looked around at me and blinked rapidly. Sorry, I can take the bag if you want. I shook my head, slinging the duffel around to my front and folding my arms over it. It's fine, I said, jaw set. He rubbed the back of his neck with his palm. Forgot you were handicapped. Is that the right word? Handicapped? Or is it something else? I think it's something else. I think handicapped is wrong. Sorry. It's fine, I said again. I didn't want to have this conversation. I was grateful when he nodded. But when he set off again, he walked slowly, peeking at me out of the corner of his eye. And I could keep up pretty well. I focused on lifting my foot all the way off the ground. If I let it drag, I'd trip eventually, and a fall was the worst thing I could do to my healing muscles and tendons and bones. I hadn't realized before the car crash how much a body could break, and I hadn't realized until the months afterward how imperfectly it got put back together. Parts of me would always be broken. I'm Griff, the man said abruptly as we walked, and all I could do was to nod. And I'm going to stop there as part of chapter 2 before the next interruption phone call. But I think you'll really like this. I am still alive. If you like adventures, if you like survival stories, if you just like a good story about overcoming obstacles, then this is the book for you. I Am Still Alive by Kate